Okay. To give a brief introduction of Narayana Swamy, Dr. Narayana Swamy T is working as Assistant Professor in Department of Business Administration, Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering, Mysuru, Karnataka since 2015. He has a total teaching experience of 10 years and an industrial experience of 2 years. He received a BTech from Anna University, Tamil Nadu in the year 2007 and an MBA from the same university in the year 2010. He received his PhD in management from Bharatiya University, Tamil Nadu in the year 2017. His research interest spans financial productivity, financial services, investments, and capital markets. Not to, if I want to mention one more thing, that is his passion is for research. He has conducted various workshops and faculty development programs on financial analysis using Excel and data analysis using SPSS for students and faculty members both. Also, he has guided more than 100 MBA students and a few PhD scholars in their research work. He has published various articles in various Scopus Index journals and very famous journals. He is always there for as an helping hand in the department for any occasions, any research work in that matter. I am very much glad to introduce Narayan Swamy T for this session. Narayan Swamy sir, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Avinash.
Yes, sir. Our participants are eagerly waiting to hear from you. Now the session is up to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Avinash. I will continue. Hope I am audible to everyone. Am I audible, participants?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Can you
sir, you are very much audible, sir.
Huh?
And also, you are very much audible, sir, and also we can see you also.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, definitely, sir.
Yeah. So good afternoon, participants. This session we are going to discuss the correlation and regression using SPSS. So first, let us discuss what is meant by product moment correlation. So normally we call it as a correlation, but mathematically it is called as product moment correlation. So as the name indicates, this product moment correlation, it is used for summarizing the strength of association between two metric variables. So here metric variables means the quantitative variables. Okay, you call it as scale in SPSS. Okay, you will enter it as scale variable. Okay, meaning that the variables which can be quantified, like let's say sales, okay, advertisement expenditure, crop production, fertilizer used, then marks scored by students, then rating given by the respondents or rating by the employees. So all these comes under the category of metric variables. Okay, it may be in the form of interval or a ratio. So interval we call it as the rating scales. Okay, the rating scales will have equal intervals. For example, Likert scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with equally spaced intervals between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. There is an equal space. Okay, and ratio we talk about the temperature scales like Fahrenheit, Kelvin scale, and Celsius scales. Okay, so these are called as metric variable which you can quantify in terms of some units. Okay, that's why we call it as metric. Why it is metric? You can measure it. Okay, measure in the form of some units. That's why we call it as metric variables. So this correlation tells you the strength of association between two variables X and Y, for example. Okay, and here we say that whether we are having a linear relationship or a straight line relationship exists between X and Y. When you say X and Y, we are going to plot it, okay, in the form of a graph and say whether there is any straight line relationship between these two. That's why we call it as a linear relationship. Whenever you come across linear, we talk about a straight line, okay, or which is in the form of straight line. Okay, and it is originally proposed by a person called Carl Pearson, and it is this product moment correlation is denoted by the letter small r. Okay, and it is known by various names called as Pearson correlation coefficient because it is given by Pearson, Carl Pearson, or simple correlation or bivariate correlation. Why it is bivariate? Only when you have two variables you can do correlation, or it is simply called as correlation coefficients. It is known by different names. Okay, and always the value of R, that is correlation coefficient, lies between -1 to +1. Okay, if it is 1, it is perfectly positively correlated. That means it is a perfect relationship. If it is 0, there is no correlation between the two variables x and y. If it is -1, there is a perfect negative correlation. Okay, so that is the range of R, that is correlation coefficient. So normally we will have a classification. Suppose if it lies between, let's say 0 to 0.3, it is a weak positive, sorry, not weak, there is no correlation at all. When you have correlation up to 0.3, 0 to 0.3 or 0 to -0.3, I'm telling from both the sides, both positive and negative sides, 0 to 0.3, there is no correlation. It is between 0.3 to 0.5, we say it is a weak correlation. Okay, and 0.5 to 0.7, it is moderate correlation, and above 0.7 is a strong correlation. Suppose let's say if it is 0.7, 0.75, so you can say it as strong positive correlation. You have to mention whether it is positive or negative, okay, based on the symbols, and you should also be telling about whether the strength is good or not, good or weak. Okay, so some examples, we can see some of the examples for this correlation. So for example, whether there is any relationship between sales and advertisement expenditure spent by a company. Okay, basically advertisement expenditure is being incurred by the company to improve sales. Okay, so if you want to test whether the sales is related to advertisement expenses, if they have a positive relation, suppose if it shows higher the expenditure on advertisement, higher the sales, then it is a good thing for the management to spend more on it. Or if it is a very weak relation, they can decide to spend less on advertisement. They can think of other kind of promotional activities. Then is there any association between market share of a company or a firm and the size of the sales force? Okay, so market share can be measured in terms of number of customers or in terms of sales, etc. So you can also try to establish whether having more number of salesmen is increasing the market share of the company. You can try to find out the relationship between market share and size of the sales force. Sales force means we talk about the sales workforce. Okay, and our consumers' perception of quality related to their perception of prices. Okay, so or that means that we want to check whether the quality perception, what the consumers perceive about quality, is related to perception of prices. Okay, that means we want to test whether the perception of prices is related to perception of quality. Okay, because normally we say higher the price, higher is the quality. Similarly, they're talking about perception of prices. If they perceive that the quality is better, they may be ready to pay more. Okay, so that is the idea behind it. That means we want to test how far they perceive about price and about the quality. Are these two variables related or not? So that why we want to relate variables is that we want to find out, that means based on this we can decide something or predict something. For example, we talk about sales and advertisement expenditure. If the advertisement is giving a good impact, okay, after testing the correlation, then the management can think of spending on advertisement because there is a positive correlation between sales and advertisement, for example. So let us discuss some a simple example on correlation, simple correlation. So I have given a simple data which is consisting of 12 observations, okay, in the first column. But in real life, you will have many observations, okay, 300, 500, 1000, you may go to any number. Okay, but for the discussion purpose, I have given only 12 observations. So here there are three variables: attitude towards the city, duration of residence, importance attached to the weather conditions. So how these variables are measured? Okay. For example, when you say attitude towards the city, when I am living in a city, what do I think of that particular city is called attitude towards the city, and duration of residence, how many years I am living in that particular city. Okay. And importance attached to the weather conditions. I'm also rating the importance attached to weather conditions in that particular city. Okay, here the two variables, attitude and the importance attached to the weather conditions, are all rating scales. It's a 11-point rating scale. For example, 1 means do not like the city, 11 means very much like the city. And coming to importance attached to the weather, 1 means not important, 11 means very important. It's a 11-point scale, so they will rate from 1 to 11. Okay, so these two variables which are given in second and fourth column, that is attitude and importance, they are rating scales, whereas the one which is in the middle, it is given in terms of years, number of years particular person is residing in that particular city. Okay, so this is the data given. Okay, for this we will try to run the correlation. Okay, so you can take the file. I have sent a file called table 17. The file name is table 17, which is in Excel. You can export to SPSS and make use of it. Okay, so let me open it. So for convenience, I have saved it in the SPSS file as attitude towards the city. So this is the file which I have sent. Okay, that means I have sent Excel file. Okay, you can see the variables, respondents, attitude towards the city, duration of residence, and importance related to the weather conditions. So what I would do is, let me show in the PPT. Okay. So first, let me define the hypothesis. So the file name is attitude towards the city, but I have not sent that file to you. The file name is table 17. So here the null hypothesis is there is no significant relationship, or you can also write it as there is no significant correlation between attitude towards the city and the duration of residence. Okay, because why we are relating two variables here, attitude and duration? Because when I am living in the city for very long years, I will be able to tell about what I think about that city. That is the logic behind it. And one more thing, when it comes to the variables, again, you may ask how to decide all these variables. Again, it all depends. Okay, it all depends upon your problem statement, research questions, hypothesis, okay, and also the literature review. Okay, so these things will help you to decide which are the variables for which you have to do correlation. Okay, so here attitude towards the city and duration of residence are the two variables which we are interested to test correlation. Okay, so here both are metric variables, no doubt about it. Okay, you are quantifying, for example, attitude you are quantifying on a rating scale of 1 to 11-point scale. Okay, and the duration of residence you are quantifying in terms of number of years. Okay, So the null hypothesis, there is no significant relationship between the attitude towards city and the duration of residence. Okay. So now go to SPSS. So go to analyze, correlate. Okay. Analyze, correlate. Okay. Once again, I repeat, analyze, correlate. Okay. And click on bivariate. Okay, we are talking about the two variables. Okay, so click on bivariate. So go to analyze, correlate, and bivariate. So click on this. Okay, click on these. You will get this dialog box. Okay, so you want whatever the variables you want to test. For example, attitude and duration are the variables which we want to study. Okay, so click on these two variables, then click on this arrow mark. It will be moved to the right hand side box. Then under that you have got correlation coefficient. One is Pearson, Kendall-Stau, and Spearman. This Kendall-Stau and Spearman, they are used for the other categories. For example, if your data is not metric, okay, or even if it is metric, if it is not if it is not following normal distribution, then you can go with these two, Kendall and Spearman's rank correlation coefficients. Okay, that is when your data is of the nature, okay, in the form of ordinal data. Okay, then you can use the Kendall's tau or Spearman's rank correlation. So here we are talking about metric, so no need to worry about it. Don't change anything, just pull the two variables for which you want to find out the correlation coefficient. So click on OK. Okay, so this is the output. Okay, so always when you see the correlation table, it will show in the form of matrix. Okay, for example, you see the first row. Okay, attitude with attitude. Because you do the correlation with the same variable, correlation is 1. And coming to the next, attitude with duration, it is 0.936. I'll just zoom it so that you can see it. It's not zooming. Okay. Okay. The same output I have given in the PPT, I'll explain here. So once after running the correlation, you can see it is showing a table. Okay, so it is in the form of a correlation matrix. So see here, attitude with first column attitude. So attitude with attitude is 1. Okay, always if you do correlation with the same variable, it is 1. And attitude with duration is 0.936. Attitude is 0.936. Just a second. Okay, 0.936. Okay, and you come to the second row. Again, the same thing is represented. It is represented in this different thing. First is attitude with duration. Same value will appear here. You can see the opposite boxes. 0.936, 0.396. So 0.936. Both are same. Either you can take this or take this, because here also it is talking about attitude with duration. Here it is talking about duration with attitude. So both are same. Diagonally, if you see, the values are same. Okay, either this one or this one. Both are same. Okay, it is showing with a star symbol. You can see the correlation coefficient. It is shown with a star symbol, 0.936. Okay, we all know that the correlation lies between -1 to +1. So here it is close to +1. So it says the attitude towards the city and the duration, okay, are strongly correlated. Okay, which means that if the duration of residence is higher is, or that is better, the attitude towards the city. Okay, that is the meaning of it. Okay, so here this double star indicates it is significant. Okay, so from the above table you can find that the significance value, and they have given the correlation is significant at 0.01 level. 0.01 means 1%. So by default, for some case, but for majority of the test, it will assume 5%. For correlation, it is showing 1%. Okay. So when you compare 1% with the significance, you can see significance two-tailed, either this box or this box. It is 0. Significance value for the test is 0.00, which is less than 0.01. That means at 1% error, okay, or level of significance, okay, is compared. The significance value is compared with 1% level. So 0.00 is less than 1%. So whenever it is less than 1%, H0 is rejected. Okay. There is a significant relationship between the attitude towards the city and the duration of residence. So that is the meaning of it. So it is null hypothesis is rejected. So you can write the opposite of null hypothesis. There is a significant relationship between attitude towards the city and the duration of residence. So that is the simple meaning of the correlation. Okay. So when you see here, always either you can take the upper triangle of the correlation matrix or the lower triangle of the matrix, because both will remain the same. For example, if I draw a line, okay, either this upper part, upper triangle, or the lower triangle, both will tell the same values. Either take this or take this. Okay, it will show the same values. Okay, that's the beauty of correlation matrix. Okay, why it is matrix? Because it is represented in the form of rows and columns. Okay, so and here significance value is shown here. Okay, so when you say significance two tail, it says if there is a correlation, it will be not equal to 0. Okay, if there is a correlation, if there is no correlation, it will be equal to 0. Okay, that's what they say. So correlation 0 means it is null hypothesis equal to 0. That means there is no difference or no relationship. Okay, or alternate means the correlation, there is a correlation. That means the correlation is not equal to 0. So a null hypothesis, correlation equal to 0, alternate, correlation not equal to 0. Whenever you define like this, equal to, not equal to, it becomes two-tailed. Okay. Anyway, you might have studied in detail in the previous classes. So this is about the correlation coefficient. So you should not forget to define whether it is positive or negative. Okay, since it is close to 1, okay, it is strongly positively correlated. You have to write like this. Okay, the attitude towards the city and the duration of residence, okay, or positively, they're strongly positively correlated because it is more than 0.7 and within 1. Okay, so anything above 0.7 you can classify it as strong correlation. Okay, so now we'll go to the next thing, non-metric correlation. So non-metric correlation, non-metric variables which do not have interval or ratio scale. That means which cannot be quantified. Okay, in the form of interval or ratio scales. Okay, that means non-metric means it is not it cannot be quantified as such, or you can say it may not follow the normal distribution. Okay, so only then you will go for non-metric correlation under these two conditions. Either it may be a non-metric variable. Non-metric means it may be a ordinal scale, that is ranking scale, or it may be a interval or ratio scale, but it may not follow normal distribution. So under such situations, you can go with non-metric. It is like parametric and non-parametric. Okay. Just a second. Some participant is calling. Hello, sir. One ನಿಮಿಷ sir. I'll login ಆಗಿ sir join ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ sir. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience because one of the participants called and said that he is not able to log in. Okay, he kept on calling me repeatedly. That's why I had to attend it. Okay, so we were discussing about the non-metric correlation. So non-metric means which cannot be quantified in some units. Okay, so non-metric variables will not have interval or ratio scale. Okay, or even if it is metric, if it is not following normal distribution, we will go for non-metric correlation. Okay, then we will go for two things. One is Spearman's rank correlation and Kendall's tau. Okay, so it depends. Okay, if there are a large number of ties means if there are repeating ranks, we will go for Spearman's. If there are so many number of repeating ranks, we will go for Spearman's rank correlation. It is denoted by the symbol rho, and Kendall's tau. It is for the smaller number of repeated ranks. Okay, and here also it varies from -1 to +1. So for example, you take the case of brands. Okay, if you want to compare the ranking, okay, towards the various features of a brand. For example, let's take the automobile. So automobile features, you can talk about the mileage of the vehicle, then leg space or leg room you call it as, okay, then engine capacity, then safety features, design features. So if you are asking, let's say the two brands, okay, asking your respondents to rate the two brands of vehicles on these features, okay, then it becomes a ranking scale. You can apply this particular rank correlation technique to check whether there is any correlation between the ranks given by the participants. That means the ranks given by the participants for the different brands. And coming to the next part, the regression analysis. Okay, so next is the regression analysis. So when we say regression analysis, it is the next step of the correlation. It is helpful to define the associative relationship between a metric dependent variable and one or more independent variables. Okay, you will have one metric dependent variable and one or more independent variables. So first we should know what is dependent variable and what is independent variable. Okay, so always for this again you need to refer the literature. And one more thing is that the variable which this under study, okay, is the dependent variable. For example, let's take about the sales. Sales depends on so many factors. Okay, you are interested about predicting sales, so sales is a dependent variable, and all the other factors which affect sales will be called as independent variables. Or let's say other example, you take crop production. So crop production depends on so many factors. So crop production is a metric dependent variable, okay, because you can measure or quantify in terms of tons or whatever it is, okay. And the independent variables, what are the variables which affect the crop production? One is the amount of rainfall, then amount of the fertilizer used, okay, and amount of that is I'm talking about the seeds, quantity of seeds used for sowing the field, okay, and amount of water used, okay. So all these factors will have an influence on the crop production. So whatsoever the variables I stated here, okay, apart from crop production, like the amount of fertilizer used, amount of fertilizer, amount of water used, okay, there is water which is available in the bore wells, okay, and the quality of fertilizer, sorry, quantity of fertilizer used. So all the other factors are metric independent variables. Okay, so here both are metric in nature. Okay, so we are going to analyze the dependent variable based on the independent variables. That is by establishing a relationship between, that means metric dependent variable and one or more independent variables. Okay, so we'll see there are different types. There are so many types of regression, but in this particular session we are going to discuss only about the simple regression and multiple regression. Okay, you also have dummy variable regression. Okay, you have got logistic regression. There are so many types. Okay, depending upon that. Okay, especially when you see simple regression or multiple regression, it takes both metric. Okay, metric dependent variable is also metric, and independent variable is also a metric variable. Or you can take some more examples. For example, stock market returns. So stock market returns depends on so many factors. Okay, for example, GDP, okay, foreign direct investment, then foreign institutional investment, then performance of the company in terms of profitability. Okay, so the returns, the stock market returns is a dependent variable, and all the other factors like your GDP, okay, inflation, FIIs, FDIs, profitability of the firm, they are called as independent variables. So in this case, both are metrics. Both you can also measure stock returns in the form of percentage, stock market returns, and the other variables also you can measure in the form of units. Okay, so GDP you are measuring in terms of money value. Okay, and profitability also you can measure in percentage. Okay, and inflows of FDI that can also be quantified in terms of money value. Okay, so that's why we say it as metric, both dependent variable and the independent variable. Okay, so whenever you want to confirm which is the dependent variable, usually the variable which is of more interest or which is related to your problem, okay, that will be the dependent variable. Or let's take in the case of HR. For example, if you want to study the job satisfaction of employees or employee engagement of employees, so here the job satisfaction is the dependent variable. The factors which cause this particular, okay, job satisfaction are all independent variables. Okay, for example, you talk about the welfare facilities, then the salary benefits paid by the company. Just a second. Avinash, Avinash, can you come here for a minute? Yeah, so I'll continue with this. Okay, so even as pointed out by Gopal Singh sir, we can also tell about the current situations. Okay, effectiveness of online teaching classes. Okay, the effectiveness of online teaching classes is the metric dependent variable, and the factors which cause this effectiveness of teaching, okay, like the connectivity of the internet, okay, and the user friendliness of the various apps, okay, and the other internet applications which are available for doing online classes. Okay, then it also depends about quality of the students, because some students they will learn more when they interact. So these are the things which are causing this effectiveness of online teaching. Okay, so these things you can take it as the things for performing regression analysis. Okay, so what all we are going to get by doing this regression analysis? Okay, so we want to determine whether the independent variables explain a significant variation in the dependent variable. Okay, so what we are going to do is, as we all know that variables means it will vary, okay, because of some reasons. Because of some reasons, okay, here IV means independent variable and DV means dependent variable. Okay, just a second. Avinash, where are you? Wow, the one of the participants is not able to log in. Please help him. No, Dode Gaudanta. Huh? The session. Okay, so we want to find out the variation. For example, when you say sales, okay, sales is also varying every time, and the factors influencing sales, for example, promotional activities, then the efficiency of the salesperson to convince the customers to buy the products. Okay, so here what we are trying to do is we want to find out whether the variation, okay, in the independent variable can explain the significant variation in dependent variable. So obviously independent variable also varies and dependent variable also varies. So we want to predict, okay, whether this independent variable, that is variation in independent variable, is able to predict the variation in the dependent variable. So that's why we talk about the relationship, whether there is a relationship existing between there is independent variable and dependent variable, whether you are able to find out the variation in dependent variable based on the variation in independent variable. Okay, then we are also involved in determining how much of variation can be explained by the independent variable. For example, we are talking about the crop production. So crop production and the other factors, how the rainfall, amount of rainfall, amount of fertilizer used, and amount of the borewell water available. Okay, so how far these independent variables are able to predict the variation in the crop production. Okay, how much, what is the amount of variation in the dependent variable? Here the crop production can be explained by the independent variables, namely the fertilizer used, amount of borewell water available, amount of fertilizer used, etc. So not just relationship, we are also interested in testing the strength of relationship. Only when the strength is better, we can use the independent variable to predict the dependent variable. If the strength is not so good, you will not be able to make prediction of the dependent variable. For example, if the crop production, I mean to say the independent variables of crop production, like amount of fertilizer used, amount of bore water available, amount of rainfall. If these variables or not having a better strength to predict the variation in the crop production, then you cannot use this model, okay, which is defining the relationship between dependent and independent variables to predict the crop production. So that's why we are talking about the strength of relationship, okay. And we are also involved in bringing the mathematical form or bringing the regression model in the form of an equation so that you can quantify how much variation in the independent variable can cause variation in the dependent variable, okay. Then fourth one, predict the values of dependent variable. That's what I told previously. And control for the contribution of specific variable or set of variables, okay. So you should be able to control for the independent variables, okay. So for example, there are some variables, independent variables, which are highly correlated, okay. In that case, your prediction model may be looking good, it may look so accurate, but it may be a false regression or a spurious regression. So how we are able to identify which are the independent variables which are very good at predicting the dependent variable, okay. Instead of directly accepting the model, any model for that matter, not only regression model, it has to be validated. Only when it is validated, it can be applied in the real-time scenario. If it is not validated in terms of the robustness, or for the model is very strong in predicting, in this case, dependent variable, okay, then it is easy for us to say whether this model can be applied in a real time, okay. Then assumptions of regression model. This is more important because this is helpful for you to validate whether your regression model is fit, okay, or whether it is whether the model is robust in nature, okay. So first is the error term. The error term is normally distributed, okay. So when you say here regression, we are going to predict the dependent variable. So always there is a error. That means using this regression model, you will have predicted values and you will have actual values. So error is nothing but the difference between actual value and predicted value, okay. So the error term is normally distributed, okay. So all the error terms, which is nothing but the difference between actual and predicted values, okay, because any model will not have a 100% accuracy, okay, it will have some errors, okay. So that error term is normally distributed. For each fixed value of x, the distribution of y is normal, because we are predicting y is the dependent variable and x is the independent variable, okay. So whenever you substitute the value of x, the y will produce a value or set of values which are normally distributed. That's what's shown in the graph. You can see the normal graph which is drawn on the straight line, okay. And the means of all these normal distribution of y, okay, the means of the normal distribution of this y variable, that is dependent variable, given x, lie on a straight line with slope b, because we are talking about linear regression, okay. So this points, all the data points, when you plot it, taking x in the x-axis, that is independent variable in the x-axis and dependent variable in the y-axis, okay. So when you plot, you should be able to get a straight line, okay, or at least close to the straight line, okay, which lie on a slope, okay. That is the slanting, the amount of slanting is decided by the slope of this particular line. And if you count all the error terms, for example, let's say if you are predicting y is equal to 5 plus 2x, okay, and you will get some predicted value if you substitute some value for x. So likewise, you can change the values of x and find the predicted values, okay, and find out the error term. So when you take the mean of the error term, it will be 0. Okay, because for some values you will get negative difference, actual minus predicted value. For some values you will get positive values. So when you take the mean of the errors, okay, it will become 0. And next, coming to the variance. Variance is nothing but square of standard deviation. Okay, if you find out the variance for the error terms for all the observations in the model, then the variance will be same. Okay, the variance of the error term will be same. Okay, if you find out the variance for the error terms, it will be same. Okay, that means the variance is not influenced by the values of x. Okay, the variance does not depend on the values assumed by x. Okay, and coming to the next last one, the error terms are uncorrelated. Okay, every time when you substitute the value of x, you will have some error. The predicted value will have some error, and those error terms are not correlated with each other. Another way, other words, the observations have been drawn independently. That's why we say regression models follow normal distribution. When you say normal, we talk about the it is a norm, it is a probability distribution. Okay, so it will have randomness. Okay, it will not have only specific type of observation. It includes all kinds of observations, so that it will be able to have all class of observations in a particular sample. So that is about the assumptions. This is more important when you are validating the regression model. Then coming to the bivariate regression, or it is also called as simple regression. So why it is bi means two, variate means two variables. That means when you have single metric dependent variable and single metric independent variable, both are one dependent and one independent variable, we call them as bivariate regression or a simple regression. For example, can the variation in sales be explained in terms of advertisement expenditure? Okay, for example, sales and advertisement expenditure. If you are predicting sales based on advertisement expenditure, so that is a bivariate correlation. Okay, and what is the structure and form of this relationship? Can it be modeled mathematically by equation describing a straight line relation? You know the straight line relationship is y is equal to a plus bx. So here y is sales and x is advertising expenditure. And the next, can the variation in market share be accounted by the size of the sales force? Whether you can predict market share by the size of the sales force. Okay, or consumer perceptions of quality determined by the perceptions of price. Okay, so that's what the bivariate correlation. Okay, so here you can see the last point. It is a mathematical equation for regression model. Usually we will write it as beta naught yi, that is ith observation is equal to b naught plus beta 1 x1 plus the error term. So b naught is a constant term which is a number, and that is beta 1. Okay, beta 1, yeah, it should be written as beta symbol, but I have written as b. Okay, so beta 1 is the coefficient of x, okay, which tells how much change in x leads to how much change in y. If x varies by 1 unit, y varies by b1 units, plus the error terms. Always a prediction model will have error terms. Okay, so error means actual minus, there is actual and predicted values difference. So let us go to the exercise using SPSS. Okay, let's start with the simple regression where you have only two things. Okay, one is one dependent variable and the other one is one independent variable. Same file we will take. The file name is table 17, Excel file I have sent to you. So the dependent variable is attitude towards the city and the independent variable is duration of residence. Okay, so let us do a regression. So first what you do is, as we have already discussed, we are talking about a linear regression. So first you have to do the scatter plot, okay, between duration and attitude. So go to the same file, okay. Your file name will be named as, it is named as table 70. So go to analyze, regression, and click on linear regression. So you can see here there are so many types of regression. Okay. So today we can't cover everything. So just for your understanding, we are going to cover only the simple and multiple regression. Okay. So we are talking about linear regression. That means we are assuming a straight line relationship between two variables. Here, namely, in case of bivariate regression, we are talking about independent and dependent variables having a straight line relationship. So click on linear. So once again, I repeat, analyze, regression, linear. So it is asking for dependent and independent variables. Okay. So always the variable under study is dependent. That is, your attitude towards the city is the dependent variable. And let's say duration, let us take only one independent, because it is a simple regression. So take duration to independent box, independence this box. Okay. So go to the statistics. Okay. Click on Durbin-Watson. So why we are using Durbin-Watson? So Durbin-Watson will tell you whether your regression model is a good model or it is a false model. Okay. Because sometimes what will happen is, you can also find out the correlation between the variables which are nowhere related. For example, GDP of Indian country, okay, with age of Americans. When you do, it will give very good correlation sometimes, but it's a nonsense correlation, because there is no way age of the Americans and the GDP of India, they're nowhere related. Okay. So that is a nonsense correlation. Similarly, there are sometimes some indicators will tell you that, oh, your regression is so good, regression model is so fit. Okay, it is very good in prediction. But there are things or indicators which helps you to say whether your regression model is robust or fit enough to do predictions. So one such is Durbin-Watson, we are using it. So click on Durbin-Watson and go to plots, because as we have already discussed, okay, it should follow normal distribution. The predicted values of y, that is the predicted dependent variables, okay, should follow a normal distribution. Okay, for every value of x, okay, it should produce the normal distribution for y. So click on standardized residual plots, histogram, and normal probability plot. Okay, so why we are doing all this circus is, whenever you come out with some models, it should be tested for validity, how far this can be used, how far this can be accurate in predicting the dependent variable. Okay, so click on continue, click on OK. So once again, I repeat, go to statistics, click on Durbin-Watson, go to plots, histogram and normal probability, click on continue. Then save OK. So you'll get so many charts and tables. So the first one is the model summary. Okay, let me go to the PPT and explain here. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you about the scatter plot. So let me tell scatter plot also. So before doing this regression, you test, that is, you check with the scatter plot. Go to graphs, legacy dialogs, then scatter or scatter plot, scatter bar dot. Okay. So when you are trying to do the bivariate regression, first you check whether your scatter plot can be used to predict whether there is any straight line relationship between dependent and independent variable. So click on scatter, click on simple scatter, then define. Okay. So what you want in x-axis? Always the y is nothing but your dependent variable and x is the independent variable. Click on OK. So you can see the scatter plot. It is almost a straight line. Okay, you are able to draw a straight line here. Almost approximately you are able to draw the lines. Okay, so it is having a linear trend. Okay, you can see the trend. Okay, how the values are. Okay, you can connect many points through straight line. Okay, so that's the first one you should do. After that only you have to do this thing. Okay, go to after this you have to go to analyze. Okay, then this one you have to do analyze, regression, linear, all those things we have discussed. So we'll go to the PPT. Okay, so we have taken that is we want to check whether the attitude towards the city, okay, there is variation in attitude towards the city, okay, is predictable by the variation in the duration of residence. Okay, that's why they are given the dependent variable is attitude towards the city and the predictor is duration. And first one they have given model summary. Okay, that means regression model summary. Okay, so they have given the correlation value. Okay, 0.936. Okay, 0.936 is the correlation, capital R. It is model correlation of this model. Then R square. You square this R value, you will get R square. Okay. So why to measure R square? Okay. R square is something like it tells about how much percentage your model is accurate. So you can see here 0.876. Okay. So 87.6. R square is 87.6 here. This one. In terms of number, out of 1, it is 0.876. In terms of percentage, it is 87.6. Okay, so it says that that is the attitude towards the city, that is variation attitude towards the city, okay, is predicted by the duration of residence to the extent of 87.6 percentage. So that is the meaning of it. Okay, but in real things, especially behavior related studies, you will not get such a huge number because it varies. You cannot completely predict it. Okay, it will have some error terms. So here you see 0.876 is predicted. So out of 1, 0.876 is predicted. And the remaining portion, 1 minus 0.876, is an error. So that much percentage is not predictable. Only 87.6 is predictable. And coming to adjusted R square. So adjusted R square tells about it is also telling about the same thing, but it is adjusted for the number of independent variables. Okay. For example, here we are talking only about one independent variable. Okay. But when you keep on adding more and more independent variables, okay, it will have a influence on the predicting power of the model. Okay, for that reason we have adjusted R square which is adjusted for the number of independent variables, that is 0.864. Okay, that is called adjusted R square. Generally R square is called as coefficient of determination. R square is also called as coefficient of determination. Okay, coefficient of determination, because it tells how far your model is deterministic. Okay, that means how far it is helpful in predicting the dependent variable. Then coming to the standard error of the estimate. Standard error of the estimate means it is telling about the of actual values from the predicted values. Okay, so that is also one of the things, but mainly we talk about R square. Okay, and coming to the next table, ANOVA. Okay, so ANOVA tells you whether your model is statistically significant. Okay, you can see the value of significance. So you can see the ANOVA table. This ANOVA table tells you about the significance, whether your regression model, okay, regression model is nothing but attitude is equal to beta naught plus beta 1 into duration. That is the linear regression model. Attitude is equal to beta naught plus beta 1 into duration. So that you have processed here, and you want to say that is whether you want to check you want to check whether this particular model is significant or not. We have to go with the ANOVA significance value. You can see the significance value. Okay, significance value is less than 5% or 0.05. So whenever it is less than 5%, it is significant. That means the regression model is statistically significant. The regression model is statistically significant. That is the purpose of having this ANOVA table. Sorry. That is the purpose of having this ANOVA table, which tells you whether your regression model is statistically significant or not. Okay. Then coming to the next table. So next table is finding out the model. Okay. So I can see the coefficients. So how we are defining the model? So generally we will define like this. Y is equal to beta naught plus beta 1 into x. That is yi xi you will put it. Okay, so here y is nothing but attitude. Okay, and beta naught estimated by the system. Okay, this constant is nothing but beta naught 1.0793. I have written for 3 decimals. Okay, so how will you write the equation? Attitude dependent variable, attitude is denoted by y. Y it is y cap here. It is talking about the predicted value. Predicted value of y, that's why y cap is equal to beta naught. Beta naught is 1.0793. It is given in the table, plus the beta 1 is 0.590. So beta 1 is 0.590. You can see here. So you write that. I have taken 3 decimals here. Sorry. Okay. So here the regression model attitude y cap is equal to 1.0793 plus 0.5879 into duration of residence. Okay. X is nothing but duration of residence. So now the model is ready. So if you substitute some value for duration of residence, you can predict the attitude value. So attitude is equal to 1.0793 plus 0.5897 into residence, duration of residence. For example, if I say 12 years, so I can substitute duration of residence as 12. So 1.0793 plus 0.5897 into 12. So I'll find out when my duration of residence is 12 years, what will be my attitude score. That can be predicted with this. Okay. So that is the model here. This, which I have written in the form of mathematical equation. This is a model. So now I want to say this, I want to check whether it is complying with the normal distribution. Okay, this all fine, this model is fit, R square value is fine. So we have to check, you have to do cross validation whether the assumptions of normality or normality distribution is maintained. So you have to make sure that this predicted value of y is normally distributed. So for that reason only we have done with all the plots. Okay, you can see here histogram. It is drawing the graph between frequency and the standardized residual. It is almost close to normal distribution. And one more thing, this particular plot, PP plot, okay, if many values are lying within this slanting line, this is below this slanting line, you can see these values are lying below the slanting line, then you can say it follows a normal distribution. Okay, and it's lying close to the, whether it is lying close to the line or it is lying below the line, lying below this 45-degree line. Okay, so that is PP plot will tell you whether your predicted value can be normal distributed. You can see the dependent variable is attitude. Okay, so that will help you to find whether your error terms are normally distributed. Okay, still more, you can check with the Durbin-Watson test. That is Durbin-Watson coefficients. I don't know, Durbin-Watson is not explained here. Okay, we were also discussing about Durbin-Watson test. So when your R square value is more than the Durbin-Watson value, so it is also some statistics calculated. Okay, if the R square value is less than the Durbin-Watson, your model is robust. Okay, that means your R square value here, we have discussed R squared value. Okay, when your R square value is less than the Durbin-Watson value, okay, the model is robust. Okay, it is fit. Okay, suppose if it is the other case, if R square is more than the Durbin-Watson test, okay, then your model is a spurious model. It's a fake model or a false model. So that is also one of the Durbin-Watson test is one of the validation tests which will help you to say whether your regression model is fit, okay, or whether your regression model is reliable, for that is whether it can be used for further applications. Okay, so when R square is less than Durbin-Watson value, your model is fit. If it is otherwise, your model is a spurious model. It's a false model. You cannot depend on that. Okay, so you can go with PP plot, Durbin-Watson test to check whether your regression follows normal distribution or not. So next, coming to the multiple regression. So next, coming to multiple regression, it's the same file I'm going to use, the table 17. So here multiple means you will have multiple independent variables. Dependent variable is same. Thank you. Here the dependent variable is same, one dependent variable and more than one independent variable. That's why we call it as multiple regression. In case of simple regression, one dependent and one independent variable. Whereas in case of multiple regression, dependent variable is one, but independent variables are many. That's why we call it as multiple regression. Okay, so same procedure you have to follow. Okay, go to the same file, go to analyze regression, linear. Okay, add one more independent variable, importance of the climate. Okay, importance of climate. Okay, So previously only one independent was there. Now we have added one more importance of the uh, climate in that particular city. So other things are same. You need not do anything. Is by default it is all recorded. Only when you close and open SPSS, this will go up. See, already we have entered here attitude and duration. It is still lying there. Okay. So add one more independent variable importance. Click on OK. So you will get the same same type of tables. So now you can see the R squared value. So it has improved. Okay, you can see the same model when we have it when we are running with only one independent variable, it is 0.936. Okay, R value is 0.936. Whereas here you can see R value is 0.972. Okay, by adding extra one independent variable, okay, the predictability is improving. Okay, the R square value is improving compared to the previous model. Okay, because previous model we had only one independent variable. In this case we are having one more. Apart from duration of residence, we have also included importance attached to the weather condition, one extra variable. So by adding one extra variable, we are able to improve the R square value. Okay. And coming to the next same type of table, here also ANOVA table, the model is significant, okay, at 5% level and 1% also, okay, and you can define the values, okay. This is the coefficient table. So how you can define? So here attitude is equal to beta naught. The constant coefficient is 0.337. plus 0.481 beta 1 into duration. Next beta 2, the next coefficient is 0.289 into importance. Okay. So constant here and the duration coefficient 0.481 into duration. So constant is 0.337 plus duration into 0.481 plus 0.289 into importance. So the now the model changed like this when you are adding one more independent variable. So whereas you can see the previous, it is 1.079 plus 0.58. So now it is a different one, 0.337 plus 0.481 into duration and importance. Okay. So for a particular value of duration and importance, you substitute particular values for duration and the importance, you will get the attitude value. You can predict the attitude value. So that is the meaning of it. Okay. Or you can say the other way. You can define like this. Okay. When the duration changes by 0.481 years, okay, the attitude, sorry, when the duration changes by 1 year, the attitude changes by 0.481 unit. When the importance changes by 1 unit, the attitude changes by 0.289 units. That's what we are talking about variation. That is, if the importance changes by or varies by 1 unit, the attitude changes by 0.289 units. So that is the meaning of it. Okay. Other things are same. Only thing you have got two independent variables. The same thing you can apply the plots. We have also done with plots, I think. So you can see the plot. It is almost a normal distribution, and you can see many of the points are lying close to the slanted line or this 45-degree line. Okay. So here also the model is fine. It is following the assumptions of normal curve. Okay. Suppose if you are not able to get a normal distribution, or if the points are very much scattered, means that your model is not fit enough. So what you have to do is you have to do some changes on your data. Changes means you should not manipulate. You have to apply some logarithmic distribution to your data so that it becomes normal, and then you can apply the normal distribution. But in real life situation, when the data size is huge, when you have 300, 400, 500,000 of observations, it will definitely follow normal distribution. Okay. Here the sample size is very small, only 12 observations for class purpose. But in real life, you will have huge number of observations. So automatically you will have normal distribution. Okay. So that may not be a problem at all. Okay. So, and the last one, CS17 data. I have also sent one more Excel file to you people. Okay. So it's a huge data you have. So here I will explain the data. You can try. You take this as an assignment. Okay. I will explain the data given in that data file. Okay. So the file contains the evaluation of Sears. Sears is a stores. Okay. Departmental stores, and the customers visiting Sears, they are asked to rate, okay, or evaluate on 8 factors. One is on quality, variety, assortment, return policy, service of store personnel, fair prices, convenience of location, store layout, credit and billing policies. Okay, so these are the factors on which the stores, the customers visiting the stores are evaluating. Just a minute, I'll have some water. Yeah, let us continue here. So here there are 3 things given in the data file. One is evaluation in terms of 8 factors of the choice criteria. What are the factors that makes them to choose a particular the stores? 8 factors are there. And the preference for Sears, okay, how much they are preferring to use to go with the Sears departmental stores, and the importance attached to 8 factors. One is evaluation of those factors, then preference towards that particular departmental stores, and the importance attached to the 8 factors of choice criteria. So your assignment is run product moment correlation There is simple correlation between evaluation of 8, there is evaluation of Sears on 8 factors of choice criteria and preference for Sears. So you have to do correlation for second one, run multiple regression with preference for Sears, preference as dependent variable, and the evaluation factors as independent variables. Okay, then interpret the results. So I will show how it can be done. I'll open the file. So I am opening in SPSS. I have sent you an Excel file. Okay, you can see there are 38 variables in variable view. Okay, and in data view 271 responses. Okay, so now what you have to do is you have to I'll expand this. Okay, so first 8 factors, choice criteria, rating of the choice criteria. Okay, these are the 8 factors on which a particular respondent or the set of respondents have evaluated that particular stores, or that is departmental stores called as Sears in this particular case study. Okay, the first 8 is evaluation factors and overall preference. It is a preference rating. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to run the correlation with and the 9th variable. Okay, run correlation of 9th variable with all these 8 variables. So go to
Sir, sorry for
yeah.
Sir, the data is not in this format. The label is not given in the this file. Labels.
And after the program's over, I'll share the SPSS files.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you can just follow now for the time being. Okay, while sending, I have forgotten to attach this SPSS file. Anyway, after this particular session is over, I'll definitely share all the SPSS file to you so that you can practice it. Okay. So go to analyze, correlate, bivariate correlation. Okay. So take the first 8 variables, sorry, first 9 variables, and perform correlation. So this is a correlation. Okay, wherever star is given, the correlation is significant. Okay. So we are taking all the 8 criterias and rating with the 9th one. You can see the last column, rating of your households overall preference to Sears. So this is the main variable. You're comparing with all the variables. Okay. So the last column you see, the only last column is enough. Even if you see, the same value will repeat. Okay. For example, you take first, that is second row. Okay, second row, rating of quality of merchandise at Sears. Okay, so what is given? 0.615 is the correlation. Okay, it is positive correlation. Okay, when the quality of merchandise, so merchandise, we talk about the products which are available there, which are kept for display. If the quality of those products are of good quality, then overall preference rating is also positive. You can see the point here, 0.615. It's a plus 0.615. Okay, so better the quality of merchandise at the departmental stores, better is the overall rating given by the respondents. And the particular 615 is significant at 1% level. It is given below the table. Wherever there is a double star, it indicates the correlation between those two variables is significant at 1% level. Then coming down to the next 0.488, the next one below is 0.615, the next box 0.488. Variety, writing of variety and assortment of merchandise at Sears. Okay, so that is also having positive correlation of 0.488. Okay, so here that is also positive correlation. So it is not very strong, but it is somewhat close to 0.5. Okay, so what it says is it is significant in preference. Suppose if the items in the departmental stores are assorted, if it is segregated according to their varieties, for example, all the grocery items in one place, okay, all the other items in other places, if it is assorted, then people will prefer visiting their stores and buying product. Similarly, you can compare with all the other factors. So this is about correlation. So for the same file, we will run the regression, analyze linear regression. So here take the ninth one. Ninth one as dependent. This preference depends on these particular ratings. If these things are better or good, then the first 8 as independence. Then click on OK. Super. You can see here the model R value is 0.743. Overall, there is multiple correlation coefficient. Why it is multiple correlation? Because we are feeding multiple independent variables, and the correlation, there is correlation square, or you call it as R square or coefficient of determination. It is 55.2. That is 0.552 out of 1. So 55.2%. So the model accuracy is 55.2. Okay, and the model is also significant. Okay, you can see the ANOVA table. It is 0, 0, 0. And coming to the coefficients. So how you can write coefficients? The preference towards the preference is equal to constant term minus 0.1227 plus 0.474 into rating of quality plus 0.094 into assortment plus 0.128 into rating of returns. So you can see this least value, you can see minus 0.009. Okay, this rating of service of personnel of Sears, okay, or for the people inside the stores are able to provide to service to them. Okay, so here it is negative. Okay, that means that is not having much influence. It is very less, minus 0.009. Okay, so this is about the regression. Okay, you can still run the validity. Okay, by giving all the plots, analyze, regression, linear, go to statistics, Durbin Watson. Okay, give this also. Case-wise diagnostics, we are not able to get it previously. Okay, plots, histogram and normal probability plot, continue and OK. So you can see it is normally distributed. The model, the predicted value of the preference rating is normally distributed. You can see the graph and you see the values all are lying close to the straight line. PP plot is also confirming that the data or the model predicted value of this rating of households overall performance to shop at Sears is normally distributed. Okay, so that's all for the today's session. Any questions?
Narayan Swami sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, it was a very good session. Not to mention in particular.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we have few questions over here. I'll just read one by one, sir. You can just answer them.
Yeah.
Right. Sir, we have one question from Bhumika Bhatia.
Ah.
The question is like this: effect of flipped classroom on academic achievement of learners with specific learning disability.
Mm.
This case,
Ah.
can apply correlation test. In this
Yeah.
case, yeah.
Can you repeat once again the variables effect of?
Effect of flipped classroom on academic achievement of learners with specific learning disability.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Narayan Swami, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
that can be done, sir. Two variables are there that can be done, and it is put in the chart box. It is there.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be done. For example, if you're able to quantify, for example, learners' achievement, you're talking about learners' achievement with disability, you can quantify in terms of their performance in the assessment test, performance in the activities that you give. Okay, if you're able to quantify their assessments, okay, and the quality of, for example, you can talk about number of lecture hours that is handled through online mode. Okay, so that number of lecture hours can be taken as a dependent variable because you can express in the form of number of hours, and the achievement can be defined in terms of grades, assessment grades. So when you are able to define in the form of some metric form, you can do simple regression. Okay. Or even otherwise, if it is other form, you have got other types of regression. For example, if it is in the form of ranks, you can go with Spearman's rank correlation or Kendall's correlation. You can do it very well. You can do it.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have probably this is the extended question of the previous question, I think. Same by Bhumika Bhatia. Sir, two variables mean pre-test and post-test marks.
Pre-test and post-test marks.
Hmm.
No, that pre-test and post-test, in this case, it is not, one is metric and one is categorical. So for which you can use the paired sample t-test. Okay, one is here, you can see here the category of test. One is pre-test and post-test. There is two categories. And the other is metric variable, the marks scored before the test and after the test. So those are metric in nature. Okay, so metric since it is, one is categorical, one is metric in nature, you cannot apply linear regression. To apply linear regression, both the dependent and the independent variable should be metric. Okay, or if you're able to assign some ranks, okay, assign some ranks for the variables, you can do, but here it is sample is same. Okay, sample is same, but the conditions are different. Why you want to predict? Well, you can check the difference. When you are talking about pre-test and post-test, there is no need of regression at all. You want to check whether this pre-test and post-test, whether that's a significant improvement. So we talk about significant difference. Okay, so when there's a significant difference by testing your hypothesis, it means that by doing extra classes, you are able to improve the marks of the students. The students are able to improve their marks or the performance is improved. So here the regression won't apply.
Sir, thank you, sir. Sir, extension of that, non-metric correlation can be applied in case of student perception regarding flipped classroom.
Non-metric correlation can be applied in case of student perception.
Perception
Yeah, you
regarding-
can do. Yeah, you can do, because when you say perception, you can measure in terms of rating scales. So obviously you can apply, that is not, see, when you say perception, it can be measured in rating scale. So you can directly apply metric correlation. Okay, or if you want to apply non-metric, you can convert that into rank form. Suppose if the student perception data is not normally distributed, you can use non-metric correlation to test that particular student perception. That can be
Sir,
done.
okay. Sir, we have one more question from Bhumika Bhatia itself. Sir, parametric tests and non-parametric tests are applied to see the acceptance and rejection of null hypothesis.
Yeah, parametric and non-parametric. Yeah, it is to test the hypothesis. Basically, those are hypothesis tests. Okay, and when you say hypothesis test, we are talking about two variables. Either there could be a difference among the variables, or there could be a relationship among the variables. That is the idea behind testing hypothesis. So why we want to test hypothesis is that we want to see which are the factors which causes difference or relation. For example, in the example we discussed in the first part of the session, we were talking about whether the attitude towards the city is related to the duration of residence in that city. So we want to predict the attitude if the duration is related to this attitude. So whenever there is a relation, whenever there is a difference, you should note it down, because if you address that particular variable, then you can solve your problem. For example, in this case of flipped classrooms, okay, if you are identifying any difference before online classes, what was the grade, and after the online classes, what was the grade. If there is a considerable improvement, then you can go with using more of online class. I'm just saying for example. Okay, so if that is the case, the decision maker will get an idea. Oh, this is the variable which is causing difference, or these two variables are related. If you address one, the other can be addressed. So that's the reason behind doing hypothesis test. Okay, so that for example, you say sales and marketing expenditure. So when you want to know whether the sales and marketing expenses are related, the companies can spend on advertisements to improve the sales. Okay, so that is the idea behind hypothesis testing, to test the difference or the relationship. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Hope we have addressed the question of Bhumika Bhatia. Sir, next question is from Albino Thompson. The question is like this: the variance of the error team is constant. Can you please explain this?
Yeah. So when you say regression model, as we have discussed the mathematical equation, with the help of mathematical equation, you can substitute some values of the independent variables to predict the dependent variable. So every time you substitute the variables, you will get predicted values. Correspondingly, you will also have actual values. So the difference between predicted and actual is error term. So when you are having error term for each value of x substituted, and when you take all error terms, the error is nothing but the difference between predicted and actuals. So when you're finding the variance, means the standard deviation and square it, that variance should be same. For example, variance of the error terms. You take all the error terms. It should be uniform. For example, if you substitute some value of x, okay, and find out the value of y in a particular model. Yeah, Vavinas, my voice is echoing.
No, nothing like that, sir.
Yeah, okay. So here, when you say the error terms, if you collect all the error terms, okay, for each of the points, okay, and compute variance, it should be uniform. That means it is an assumption. For example, when you are plotting the predicted value of y with residuals, it should have a uniform variance. Uniform variance in the sense it is actually the mean reverting process. When you have the average, every time the observation should come back to the mean and then go up or down. It should not be so much scattered. That is the meaning behind it. So that it will be called as the random, sorry, it will be called as a normal distribution. So you take average and you compare the average with the individual observations. Okay, the distance of each individual observation from the average. Okay, so when you measure these distances, okay, and you find out the variances of the distances, it should be same for different observations. That is the meaning of this.
Thank you, sir. Hope Albino Thompson is happy with this answer.
Yes, sir.
Next question by Shaina Sheikh. Sir, which book is useful to study SPSS? Mention
Yeah.
the book and author name, please.
Yeah, you can go with Marketing Research by Naresh K. Malhotra because it is a exhaustive book. It gives all case studies, SPSS materials, and it is also giving at the end of the chapter how to use SPSS with all commands. You have to go to analyze menu, this menu, that menu, click on this, that. Everything is given in that book. So that is also a good book because it is not only covering SPSS part, it will also cover case studies in your research, right from the problem definition till the end of this research. That is one good book where you get huge data. You can also download free materials from the author's website. Okay.
Sir, their
Uh,
practicals is also available, no, sir?
Yeah, practical book is also available. There's a book called George, 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 Darren and George, Darren and George. Okay, so that book also that covers only SPSS part with examples. That also you can refer. So those two books I have used it. I am saying it, and one more sir has written some book. Okay. Yeah, Harry Anderson is also good. That is also very exhaustive multivariate data analysis by Hare and Anderson. 4 authors have written. See, this book is freely downloadable. Multivariate analysis by Hare and Anderson, but it will not have SPSS application, but it will give a detailed explanation of each and every items in statistics, starting from univariate, multivariate, structural equation modeling. You can easily download it from the Google. It is available, though it is a copyright violation. If you want, you can download it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hope Shaina Sheikh is happy with our answer.
Yes, sir. Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Sir, we have more question from T.S. Sharma. The question is like this. No, he has just acclaimed your presentation, sir. Done, sir. We have done with the Q&A question answer session. Participants, if you have still more any question, you can just put it in the chat box. If not, sir, we will call it a day, sir.
Sir?
We'll just call it a day.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, Narayan Swami, sir, and we thank all the participants for their patience hearing. Have a very good evening. Stay safe. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Avinash.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.